We are live. Hello. Hi, I'm Amanda Call, which presumably you know since you're on my channel. And this is a comic page called I'm the First. Why is my camera crooked? What's happening? Why are you crooked? Hey, it's Abby. Art. This is a page from I Am the First. This is chapter 3, page 6. I have been working on this for several sessions. Oh, yes, I'm here. I'm here. It is not going to ink itself. All right, so we did most of the pen inking on all the background elements and props and stuff. The only thing I have left to do is this glass in his hand, which I need a template for. So I'm going to grab that because I need tools for this. So I have my circle template and a pen that's hopefully going to cooperate. This is the Tech pen. They're a little bit finicky, but it seems to be working today. So I'm going to find a circle that matches this circle. That's pretty close. That's a little fat. We'll do this one. That's better. And ta-da! And very carefully lift this up so that I don't smudge it. Yay! Look at that. I don't know. I'm not. I'm right-handed. That's why I have my tattoo on my right hand. I do a lot of things left-handed because my right hand gets very tired and inflamed from all the drawing, so you might have seen me do things left-handed and just assumed, which is pretty reasonable. Because I have trained myself to do a lot of things left-handed. There was one time after a convention that a bunch of us went out to eat dinner, and my friend sat on my left side. Like, we were sitting in a booth. My friend sat on my left side, and because she knew I was right-handed, and she expected that I was going to eat with my right hand, but I actually usually eat with my left hand. So I'm like elbowing her, and she's like, I thought you were right-handed. Why are you elbowing me? I'm like, oh, because I eat with that hand. Sorry, I'm confusing you. Maybe I just have a hard time believing an Aquarius can be right-handed. I mean, we do tend to be weird in like every other regard, so that's fair. All right, that part is done. Now we're going to move on to the brush. I just got a new brush. I do eat left-handed. That's probably what threw you off. Yes. And Jason says that, Barney, you left your hat at the Timmy's. Steve called to let you know. They have it. Yeah, where are Doug and Ben? Good question. We've got almost the whole chaotic good crew here. We've got Dirigo's here. It is brush-tastic. I really love these brushes, and because I'm working on 2 comics at once, I'm going through them at a rather alarming rate. And the price increased rather dramatically on them recently, as many things have. But this one I went to buy it and I was like, excuse me, what? It costs how much now? So this is, it's a Kolinsky Sable. So it's from England. And yeah, Kolinsky Sable is like a little weaselly creature. So it's natural fibers. So it was already expensive. This size brush was like $30. And this last one that I bought jumped up to $40, and I was like, excuse me. That is a lot of money for this brush. $30 was already a lot of money for this brush. But what you gonna do? I tried so many different synthetic brushes, and I did not like any of them. And there are not very many. Like, natural fiber brushes that are the right size and everything. So this is kind of what I got. And apparently the brush that I used to use, the Raphael Kolinsky Sable, they don't make anymore. So this is it. I gotta deal with the price hike on the Winsor & Newton Sables. And let's see. Yeah, they're really great. I love this thing. The ink is very harsh on it, so it doesn't last as long as it would with a water-based medium like paint, the paint used on miniatures is like acrylic. It doesn't last as long as it would with acrylic or with watercolor, which is what it's made for, because ink is like really gummy and shellacky. So even with very diligent cleaning, it just does not last as long. So I used to be able to get like a year out of these, but since I'm doing 2 comics at once now, I've been getting like 6 months out of them before they just refuse to hold a point anymore. I use a natural boar hair brush when I shave. I tried a synthetic once, and my face did not speak to me for days. Yeah, I can imagine that was a bit of a shock. And Story Comics says a Winsor Newton Sable sounds like the name of a domesticated squirrel species. I mean, kind of. They're like weasels. Little ferrety, weaselly creatures. There are brushes made from squirrel, and I've had those recommended to me, but I have not tried one yet. That might be the next thing I try if the price on these continues to be absurd. I feel like I missed some comments. Is this Modern Day Age of Night? No, this is a page from I Am the First, which is the coming of age and coming out superhero story. I can thank Jesse Lundberg for that tagline because he came up with it. The most full circle own if you used a scroll brush. It would. It would. I have to get a squirrel brush just to be like, haha, victory. I was bitten by a squirrel a couple of years ago, in case anyone is wondering what this is about. But yeah, this is a page from I Am the First. So I Am the First is written by my friend Jeremy Flagg. It's drawn by me. We have the first 2 chapters have been released on all of the digital comics places, so you can find it on our website, bravenewcomics.com. You can find it on Barnes & Noble and Drive-Thru Comics and Amazon if you must, and all of those things. I think Apple Books and Kobo as well, if I'm remembering correctly. And this is part of chapter 3, which will be coming out in July. It's 5 issues, and then once all 5 issues are released, we're going to release it all together as a graphic novel, trade paperback. Words. I have had such a big Kickstarter year. Oh my goodness. Yeah. They were supposed to not be that close to each other, but then things got pushed back and they ended up being like right on top of each other. So we did the I Am the First Kickstarter, and then shortly thereafter was the Deimos Academy Kickstarter, which Deimos Academy is coming along great. I think I've got like one more little piece of art to finish. We're waiting on like a couple more pieces of writing. Everything else is being edited and put together, and it's coming out great. I'm very excited about that. 420 subscribers. I don't partake. I'm just a child. Okay. Oh, okay. Sorry, it took me a second because I also I'm not really on the 420 lifestyle. So I was like, what? What? Oh, okay. I get it now. It genuinely baffles me how you can do that so smoothly. Lots of practice. Many, many hours of doing this. A really good quality brush certainly helps. And yeah, this is coming along pretty well, this chapter. We're in pretty good time for it. I think we're really right on schedule as far as production goes, which is nice. Shocked on marker isn't easier. Well, I guess it's easier, but not as effective. So a marker is easier if you want your lines to be uniform. But as you can see, I have a lot of expression in a lot of these lines where they go from like thick to thin, and they have like a lot of differing characters. Markers, you get very consistent lines. And so if what you're going for is a really consistent, even line, like, you know, like the ow, mosquito, bastard, get out of here. I'm trying to talk and it's biting me on the arm. So if you want like a really even, consistent line, like the ones I have around the panel borders, then you want something like a marker or a tech pen. I used to do these in marker. I do them in tech pen now because I got tired of throwing out markers. But I like the expressiveness in the line. I like it having the ability to go from like thick to thin and have these kind of like turns and stuff in it that you really can't get in something like a marker because it's just a single shape. Even like a brush tip, you have a very limited range of expression versus an actual brush. So yeah, I mean, and some people do ink with markers or like felt tip pens or that sort of thing, like fine liners. It really depends on the style that you're going for, but I learned how to ink with a brush and I really loved it and I love the way it looks. So that's what I practiced doing. I'm also like an obnoxious tree hugger, so I wouldn't want to use markers because they're wasteful. It's so much plastic you end up having to throw out. Which is part of why I don't even use them for my panel borders anymore, because it just made me nuts that I kept on having to throw out these markers after having them for like a couple of months. Beard. But that is a good question. I like talking about technique and stuff, so by all means with the questions. It's part of what I enjoy doing on these streams is like just kind of demystifying why I'm doing stuff that I'm doing and like the process. love the way that Hat Dude looks like half the guys I went to college with. Yeah, that's Rodney. It's Rodney. I just imagine both of these guys speaking in like barely intelligibly thick Mainer accents. Because they're supposed to be in like northern Penobscot County, so. The Townies. Of course, his name is Rodney. Yeah, Jeremy came up with that. Like in the script, they were just like Townie 1 and 2, and but this one did call the hat guy Rodney, and this guy, like, Rodney never says his name, but I put him in this like army fatigue jacket, so I put Walsh on the little name tag part of the pocket. So this is set in a fictional town that we are calling Abbey Mills, which sounds like it could be a town in northern Penobscot County, Maine, because it's basically supposed to be Millinocket, but we didn't want to actually call it Millinocket because, you know how it is, dear go. Okay, so sorry, Abby. This is the thing. It's spelled with an E. And Abbey Mills, like, it's a joke because it does sound like the type of place that could be a town in Maine, especially because a lot of towns in Maine are named after other places. And the Abbey Mills pumping station in London is like a famous sewage processing plant and like famous Victorian sewage processing station. And so it's kind of a joke about how it's like a shit town. Because we debated for a while, like, should we just call it Millinocket since it's basically supposed to be Millinocket? And then we're like, let's not, because then A, you're going to have people being like, well, that doesn't look like Millinocket. And B, you're going to have people being like, what are you trying to say about Millinocket? Are you saying we're all a bunch of racist homophobes in Millinocket? And we'll, like, a little bit, but we don't really need to deal with that. So we just made it a fictional town. Abbey Mills, Maine. Although a lot of the places in it are actually just based on places in Milo, because that's close to where I live. So, like, the high school is absolutely Penquist Valley High, where Jeremy and I both graduated from school. And everyone that we've gone to school with who has seen, like, pages posted that show the school are like, that's Penquist? Like, yeah, I know. These mosquitoes got in my studio and they're trying to eat me. I don't appreciate being eaten while I'm trying to ink. I need to concentrate. I appreciate that you guys find that funny and clever. That was like my one writing contribution. Was that I said, can we name it Abbey Mills? And Jeremy's like, that sounds familiar. And I'm like, yeah, it's a famous sewage plant in London. And he's like, I love it. Let's do it. Okay, tiny little lines. Trying to concentrate and not mess up the tiny little lines. Yes. My husband is into wargaming. I was recently joking on Twitter about how I need to divorce him now because he started a high elf army. It's a joke. I'm not gonna actually divorce him. I am deeply disappointed though. And our conversation after, I found the box and texted a picture of him, and I was like, "You realize this is grounds for divorce?" And afterwards, when we were in the same place, and he's like, I appreciate that. I appreciate that you're not mad that I started another army or asked why I started another army when he already owns what six?
Counting yours.
Counting mine, yeah, 6 Warhammer armies. He already owns 6 Warhammer armies. I didn't ask, why did you start another army? Why would you do that? How dare you start another army? Because I long ago accepted this is just a fact. He's just going to collect all the armies eventually. That's just what's going to happen.
Not chaos.
But, not chaos, apparently. We'll see about that. I was just mad that it was high elves. Or whatever they call them these days. Because I played Warhammer Fantasy, like, a very long time ago, and they changed the name of the high elves to something else in Age of Sigmar, but they're the high elves. All right, top panel's done. Yay! Next tier. Yeah, he started an Age of Sigmar army, and it's the high elves, and I was especially disgusted by that because back when I played fantasy, I was a dwarf player, and I still have dwarfs like in storage somewhere. I never got rid of the army. I just stopped playing. So, because we had kids, and I was like, I don't really have time for this. It was one of those things that, like, when we didn't have kids, I was like, I enjoyed it. I had fun doing it, but it was not something I enjoyed enough for the time and the effort that needs to be in it, like, to make it worthwhile. Like, you have to spend a lot of time not just playing games, but preparing to play games and putting your army together. And even if you don't really paint them, like, you still have to assemble them and figure out your list and keep up to date on rules and everything. And it's a huge time commitment. And even though I enjoyed it, I didn't enjoy it enough to justify that level of commitment versus other stuff. I still do a lot of other gaming. The wargaming just wasn't enough of a draw for me to continue to put in that kind of effort. So who knows? I might loop back around to it someday, but not anytime soon. Mildly tempted, but do not need another money sink. Oh, cool. There's a Frostgrave group starting in Bangor, apparently. According to Dirgo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, of course, you already knew that. I didn't know that. The other day, Mari asked me what Warhammer is, and I was like, no. Yeah, don't let her stop her, Abby. Don't let her do it. Stage that intervention now. When the first box comes home, it's too late. Teeny tiny little face. Teeny tiny little face. It's so tiny. Painting is great. Painting is a lot of fun, but you could just like amass like a giant amount of like Damn, I did not get any ink on that pass. Let me try that again. You could just amass like a giant amount of like D&D miniatures, or start doing like dioramas and little like showpieces and stuff. Like getting the slightly bigger ones. I'm sure I'll see you soon. Okay. So we already have a lot of that going on, I see. But yeah, don't get involved in Warhammer.
It's a drug.
It is. It's a drug. And I will also say, like, I know this isn't the case everywhere, but unfortunately, a good number of Warhammer players are like kind of the worst. And you can get lucky and find a good community where that is not the case, but so many of them are just friggin' awful. And that was another part of it where it was like, do I also want to put in this much time and effort to deal with possibly having some dude, always a dude, telling me that my list is dumb and my army's dumb and I don't know what I'm doing and I should totally build my list the way he would build it because that's the right way to do it. Oh my god, shut up. Like she just bought 7 new paints. Some people I played Warhammer with were absolutely wonderful and lovely, and I'm still friends with them, and that was like how I became friends with them, and that's all great and everything, but man, some people are into Warhammer because they just like being the worst, and then you're stuck in a game with them for like 3 to 4 hours of them being the worst. And you can't get away. I don't remember if I just inked those like black previously. All right, go watch the pup. Thanks so much for hanging out, Abby. I appreciated it. Say hi to everybody for me. Cats and dogs and girlfriend. Yeah, Dirigo, the painting is really fun, and a lot of people get into it because of that. I'm just like, oh, this would be fun to paint. And then somewhere along the lines get sucked into actually playing the game. And they do like really try to get you that way too, where they release so many really cool looking models. Even not being in it for many years, sometimes I'll look at the models and just be like, oh, that looks so cool. That would be really fun to paint. I'm like, no, snap out of it. All right, we've got this guy's little apron strings, his little bar towel over here on his hip. Oh, I still need to do his arm. That might be good. He could probably use having to have an arm. That would probably be good for him. Well, I forgot a line there, and I forgot a line there. Whoops. All right, I think that's, yeah, I gotta go back and look at the previous scene and figure out if I filled these in with spot blacks or not. I think I did, but I'm not positive, so I'm gonna leave them for now. I'll look that up and I'll figure it out later. Let's see. Warhammer always seemed like half art project, half game. Absolutely. Absolutely. And unfortunately, the other thing is that very frequently the rules suffer for that. Like, they're like, look, we released these cool models. Cool, how do we use them in the game? Well, this is how you use them in the game. Oh, cool, that broke everything. Yeah, no, it's fine. How did the Comic-Con go? The Comic-Con went great. Apparently there was like record attendance. I did the best sales-wise at any BCTC that I've ever done, which was pretty great. And it was just a really fun weekend hanging out with my art friends that I hadn't hung out with in a long time. Some of them, most of them, I hadn't seen in literally 2 years. So that was really nice. Met some new people. It's a glass. Hooray. So yeah, Comic-Con went really well. And they announced during the convention that BCTC is breaking up into 2 different shows. And now they used to do 2 shows. They would do a show in the fall that was smaller called the Halfway Con, and they would do one in the spring that was the big BCTC. But what they're doing now is they're still going to do a show in the fall and a show in the spring. But the show in the fall is still going to be kind of a smaller show, and that will be in Bangor. This year it's going to be kind of horror themed, and it's going to be in the last weekend of September, first weekend of October, and it's called Weekend of the Wicked. But then in the spring show is actually going to be in Portland, because we haven't had like a regular Comic-Con in Portland for a while. And we used to have like the Casablanca Comics shows. They would do MECAF and they would do Portland Comic Expo. But Rick and Laura have not done those the last couple of years, and they have not really indicated when they're ever going to do it again. So we don't really know what's going to happen there. And also, Portland Comic Expo and MECAF were like comic festivals. They were much smaller, more focused shows. And I love them and I miss them, and I really would love to see them come back. But it's kind of a different event to something like BCTC, which is a very, very much a pop culture all-purpose convention where you have like gaming tournaments and celebrities and photo ops with like Transformers and stuff, like it's not the same kind of thing. I think there is definitely room in Portland for both of those types of shows. Yeah, Dirigo says that his son and him were in the mall last week and he hadn't been there in years and could not believe how empty it was. Oh my gosh, yeah, there's nothing in there. Nothing. The part of the, like, we had the convention was in the mall, and the area that I was in for Artist Alley was in the old food court, and there's no food in the food court anymore. And people didn't, like, who hadn't been to the mall in a long time didn't know this, and they would like come to our part of Artist Alley and just kind of like look around despondently and be like, why is there no food? Hey, Hungry, thanks so much for joining us. That's totally fine. Happy to have you whenever that may be. Now we really have the chaotic good crew here. All right, I'm going to try to very carefully do this hat, not make a mess. Oh, I usually do the logo in pen and I forgot, so it's going to be in brush tonight. Yeah, it's kind of wild to me that there's no food in the mall anymore. Or I guess there wasn't. Now there's like a arcade bar type place that I guess serves some food. But it's not like, like counter service like you expect mall food to be. That's like a sit down place. There's not even like a coffee kiosk anymore. It's sad. We gotta get Rodney's face. Get all these various creases on his face because he's yucking it up over here. All right, I'm gonna get some of those little lines over here. All right, cool. So now we've got the top 2 tiers are done. Judging by this picture, I went to college with Abby. Well, I mean, we're all from the same area, so. All right, so we only have the bottom tier left. We've got 20 minutes left on the clock. If we don't actually finish this, we're going to be awful close. So that's awesome. I think I mislabeled this one. I think this is actually part 4 now that I'm thinking about it. It actually took me 2 sessions to draw this page. I forgot. Oh well, I can fix the title later. It's fine. Thankfully, I can edit the title. Because what I've been doing is I've been doing a start to finish comic page on the streams, and I'm kind of like alternating between I Am the First pages and Age of Night pages. I had to do 2 I Am the First pages back to back because I was at the end of a chapter in Age of Night, but that chapter is wrapping up now, or the last page of chapter 26 is going to post next week. So now I'm working on chapter 27 so we can start doing those pages on the stream. Because I didn't want to work on one of the last 4 pages of a chapter. That would be very spoilery for anyone. Well, for everyone, even if you're caught up or not. So we did a couple of I'm the First pages back to back, but next week we'll be back to doing an Age of Night page. All right, trying to get all these guys are all not super young, and they've got lots of nice, fun lines and creases on their face that gives them lots of expression and character. Definitely want to make sure I get them all. Yes, like that. Cool. Thanks, Dirigo. Thanks for hanging out. I definitely appreciate it. Enjoy your evening. Oh, can you go take care of chickens, please? And dogs? Take care of the critters. It's dark out. I just looked up and realized it's dark out. I send my husband to make sure animals don't get eaten.
Let the dogs out.
No, gotta let the dogs in and feed them.
I don't want to let the dogs in.
Everybody needs to go to bed. All the animals need to go to bed.
Children are asleep, yeah.
Live in the woods. If we don't put the chickens away, then the fox will eat them. Get the hair texture in there and try not to accidentally cover over the ear I already Hey, Keith, thanks so much for hanging out. Have a good night. We only got about 15 minutes left, so we'll see how close we get to finishing. Appreciate any amount of time people come and hang out on the stream. Always appreciated. All right, I'm gonna bulk up that line down there. His chin is not looking very substantial there. Oh, I think that's the glass. That's why. That's fine. I'll just fix it like that. That's better. All right, last panel. Hooray, last panel. How exciting. It crossed over the panel border. Goodness. What are you doing, Amanda? All right, there's the back of his head. Oop. James. All right, we are entering the last 10 minutes of the stream. So I'm going to do the YouTube things and remind you, I'm Amanda Call. This is my channel. If you like coming and hanging out and watching me work on comics and talk about what I'm doing, you should join us here. Subscribe to the channel. I do these live streams every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, with very rare exception. This I do think I wanted black. I'll go ahead and fill that in while I'm talking. Yeah, subscribe to the channel, like the video, all the fun YouTube-y things. This page that I'm working on is from a comic called I Am the First. It is written by my friend Jeremy Flagg. It is drawn by me. This is a page from chapter 3. The first 2 chapters are available for purchase on all the places you get your digital comics. So that's your Amazons, your drive-through comics, your Barnes & Noble app, your Apple app, Kobo. I think that's all the things. And, of course, also on our own website, bravenewcomics.com. So definitely check that out. You can also sometimes find me on the channel working on pages from my webcomic, Age of Night, which is a fantasy webcomic that is entirely free to read online at ageofnight.com. That's AGEOFNIGHT.com. I'll be working on one of those pages next week because this page is just about done. If you want to follow me on the other social medias, you can find me on Twitter at Age of Night, spelled just like the comic, and you can find me on Instagram and TikTok at Amanda Call Art. You can also, if you want to help support me making art, you can support me on Patreon, patreon.com/ageofnight. Gotta get his grumpy little expression here. Look at that grumpy face. It's great. I love it. Oh, so grumpy. Grumpy. Age of Night and Brave New Comics also both have Facebook pages if that's a thing you want to do. You can follow updates there. What else? I don't have any events coming up for a little bit. My next convention is going to be Plastic City Comic Con in Fitchburg, Massachusetts, I think. That's where it was last time. I think it's the same place. That's going to be in mid-July. Got a little time before then, which is good because I got lots of work to do. That is kind of fat. We need to get some of the extra ink off of this brush before I end up with a mess. All right, we've got 6 minutes left. I'm pretty sure I can get Walsh in here too, and then we'll be done. Amazing. point nice and fine so I can get these little details without making a mess. Inside of his jacket there on the other side because he's kind of turned. Oh, making a little bit of a mess there. That's okay. That's easy enough to fix. All right. Oh my goodness. Look at that. We did it. We did it. So at the beginning of this hour, I had just the background inking done, none of the figures done in brush yet, and over the course of an hour, ta-da! It is now done. Hooray. Thanks everybody for coming and hanging out with me during the stream. I will see you all next time. Bye.